Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me for today's webinar. I'm Maya, and I'm one of the account managers with the customer success team here at NuOrder. Today, we will go over how to run reports during and after the selling season and how to analyze what you find. We will also go over examples of reports for use case scenarios, such as year-over-year comparison and who didn't buy the top 20 bestsellers. Let's start with a quick overview of the Reporting tab. In order to access the Reporting tab, open up the menu bar and click on Reporting. On the top section, you'll find different buckets of different types of reports. On the bottom section is a running snapshot of sales, which will provide data on your order totals since you launched with NuOrder, broken down by currency, how many orders were placed, and how many units. Let's take a closer look at each reporting bucket. Here you have all of our one-click reports across 4 main topics: customer, order, product and inventory, and sales. You also have the opportunity to custom your reporting, which we will go over in a bit. The first bucket is your customer reporting. Let's click on that. This category of reports holds all the reports that have to do with customer activity, whether it being buyer activity or order history at the company level. Before we dive in, you'll notice that you have the option of just running a report. This will open a pop-up window with the info, or you also have the option of downloading the report in Excel by clicking on the export button for further slicing and dicing. The first report we're going to look at is your buyer activity report. This report will give you detailed information on when your buyers last logged in, when they last placed an order, along with which line sheets you sent each buyer. This is a great report to gauge on your buyer's engagement. Let's take a look by clicking on Run. So you'll see your buyer name, buyer email, and company name, when they last logged in, the last order date, total number of orders, total value of orders, and then all your line sheets lined up, whether you sent them to this buyer or not. The next report we're going to look at is draft orders by company. This will give you insight into which companies still have draft orders that are waiting to move along to the next status. Once you identify the companies, you can easily follow up to close the deal. Most reports have the option of setting parameters. Let's take a closer look at the different options here. You'll be able to select and utilize these filters, select your date range, and then select your results, whether it being units sold, total value, or number of orders. The next bucket of reports are orders by season by company and order history by company. These 2 reports are going to help you plan out the next season for your retailers. Orders by season by company will show you the value of the orders placed by season. Let's run this quickly to take a look. So you have your retailer name and then your season here and the value of the order. And this will help you plan out the value of the order to be placed for each retailer by season. Order history by company, if I run this report, you'll be able to see the orders placed at the PO level, meaning at the order number level. Both of these combined, like I said, will help you plan out the next season for each retailer. The next bucket of reports are bookings. The first one is total bookings by company, style, color, and size. This is a production report, which will pull in all units from all active, approved, and processed orders at the size level. The next report, total bookings by style and company, will pull in all units from orders on drafts, pendings, and approved orders at the style level. The next report, total sales by style and company, this will show you which companies ordered which styles. So you have your style number and then the retailer, how many units were placed for each retailer. The last report on this page, who didn't buy the top 20 bestsellers, is one of my personal favorites. And the reason for this is because with a really easy one click, you're able to identify any company that didn't buy into your top 20 bestsellers and follow up with them in order to ensure that they're placed into the right assortments. So these are your top 20. And then you'll see all of the companies and you'll see that these didn't place these top 20 bestsellers. Great. That sums up our customer reports. Now let's move on to talk about our order reports. The first report is a really important one. This is your daily order log. And this is a great report to pull when you're in market or at a trade show and want to actually track how you're doing compared with your plans. If you set the parameters, you'll see that you can select today's date, and then you're going to run the report. The next report is order totals year-over-year comparison. This is a great report to pull in combination with your order history by company and order history by season to ensure that you're planning for the right amount. This will show you your growth rate. The final report on this page is total units or sales by order type. For those of you who don't know what order type is a way of attributing your orders, usually used by our brands to attribute whether the order is an ATS order, a pre-book order, or an after deadline order. If I run this report, you'll see you're able to see at the style level how many of these were in pre-book, how many of them were placed at once, which means ATS and NA. Great, so those are your order reports. Let's move on to talk about your product and inventory reports. Some of the product and inventory reports are very similar to the ones we looked at when we looked at your customer reports. The difference is here they're at the style level without the company breakdown. So the first bucket of reports we're going to look at are your ATS reports. And you can export these with or without images. I'm just going to quickly export with images to show you what this looks like. So it's very quick to load, and you'll see that once I open this report, you have the little thumbnails, and as I scroll to the right, you'll be able to see the quantity for each style. This is a great report to pull weekly, monthly, and send to your accounts to ensure that you're actually pushing out your excess inventory. You can obviously also create a line sheet and send out a line sheet for ATS. The next report is your canceled styles report. And this will grab in any style that's marked as canceled in new order. And the reason that you're going to want to pull this report is that if you cancel the style and you have a company that's placed against this style, you're going to want to follow up with them and ensure that they place those units into an alternative style. The next report, most drafted styles, will show you how many times each style currently exists in saved draft orders. And that's because during market, before an order deadline, a lot of these orders are saved as drafts. And if you want to see your top sellers in the draft section, this is the report you're going to pull. The next report is a production report. And this will include anything that is approved or processed. And the difference here is it's at the style level and not at the company level, compared with the reports that we looked at in the customer bucket. The last final reports are your top 20 bestsellers. We can quickly run this. And this will show you in a really nice graph your top 20 bestsellers and how much you've sold of them. And then you have your top 20 categories by department. So if I run this, you'll be able to see your top 20 categories by department and how much you've ordered of each category. And this will help you ensure that you're placed into the correct penetration of each category. Great. The final bucket of preset reports are your sales reports. So let's click into that. And we have three types of preset reports here. The first one is sales history by rep, month, and company. This is a great report to pull to set your rep's sales goals. Let's run this quickly. So you'll see your rep name, the month, the year, and then the total amount of dollars, and then broken out by company. This is also a great report to pull when you're doing your pre-market planning. The next report here is total sales by department. The final report on this page is total sales by sales rep. And this is a really great report to pull just to get an overview of who your top performer is. If I run that report, you'll be able to see which sales rep is driving the majority of your business. Great, so that sums up all of our preset reports. The final thing that I want to show you is actually how to create your own custom report. So if for some reason none of these reports are sufficient or are similar to the way you like to view your data, you have the option of creating your own custom report. So if I click on Create New Report, you'll be able to drag any of the variables, which are fields in your product data or orders, into your Y or X axes, and you'll also be able to select filters here and select your date range along with what type of results you want to view. So for example, I can decide that I want to look at season and then division and then category, and then I would like to see the company name up here, and I just want to see units sold. And what I'll do once I've selected those fields that I want to view is I can either export it in Excel, I can run it in the same way that we've been running the report so far, or I can also save it for future use. So if I go and hit save, I'll be able to save this report. And now this report has been saved. And anytime I want to log back into NuORDER and run this report, I'll be able to do so. So if I click on back and go into my custom reports, this report is waiting for me now and I can open it. And from here, I can run it and export it. Great. So quickly before we end today's webinar, I just want to recap in buckets these different reports and when you would actually pull them. So the reports that I would suggest pulling to run before market are your buyer activity report to ensure that your buyers have received your latest line sheet. I would pull your order history by company and order by season by company to ensure that you're planning properly. And then I would look also at order totals year-over-year comparison to ensure that you're reflecting a correct growth rate. In addition to that, I would also pull an ATS report to ensure that I have enough information on what inventory I need to push out. Some examples of reports to run during market are your top 20 bestsellers or who didn't buy the top 20 bestsellers, and that's a great way of chasing your accounts to buy into the correct assortment. Your most drafted styles will give you insight into what are going to be your top sellers and make sure that everyone is buying into those. And then your daily order log, which we looked at in your order bucket, and that is to ensure that you're on track during market. Finally, reports to run after market can be, again, I would pull your buyer activity. This is a great report to run to ensure that all the retailers that you accounted for to place orders for that season actually did that. Draft orders by company, again, in your customer section. This will ensure that no pending orders are being left behind. And I would also look at your sales rep performance to understand which rep drove the most business. Great. So that sums up your reporting webinar for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If there are any questions, please write them in the chat. Thank you.